everybody. Welcome to the Sharon and Joe Show. My name is Sharon.
My name is Joe.
I'm going to get right into the video tonight, you guys, and tell you about a brilliant idea I had earlier. Joe, you want to second that?
Yeah, I don't second that. It was you guys. It was a brief moment of insanity. I think you guys will agree with that. But here's the thing: she ran it by somebody that cares, that understands, before she pulled the trigger. See, in recovery, and when you've recovered from codependency and the abuse, we're able to aim first, then shoot. Narcissists will always shoot first and aim later. Ready, fire, aim is their motto. And they always, if you give it enough time, wind up shooting themselves in the foot. Thank God you got some scruples where you ran by this brilliant idea, you guys. Why don't you go ahead and tell them what happened?
I'm going to tell you the idea in one moment. I just wanted to tell you, really, the point of today's video is that Joe and I want to talk to you guys about how it's so important, it's crucial that throughout everything that you go through with a narcissist, you never forget who they are. You cannot ever forget.
Let me rephrase that. You can't ever forget what they are.
Yeah.
I don't even refer to them as normal people. Interspecies predators, subhuman, some other category down the line of evolution. That one key element that makes us all human, empathy. I don't know. They're in a class of their own.
You know, and it doesn't matter if you're talking about somebody or talking about their child. A narcissist is a narcissist. They're never not going to be a narcissist. Their reaction is going to be narcissist, like a dog is a dog. You know, like that's just how it is. So for those of you that don't know, Joe and I are both in the middle of divorces from narcissistic exes. And his is a little bit further along than mine. I'm at the beginning stage, and what's happening now, I have 2 children with my narcissistic ex. One of them is a minor, so it's really the minor child that I'm dealing with in this case. My ex has not seen, it's not even just he hasn't seen, there's been 0 contact with either of my children for 2 years. He was totally fine with this. He didn't want to see the kids. He didn't ask to see the kids. It was like they didn't exist. When I lived in what I call my cage in New Hampshire, which was my house, where he always knew where I was. He was keeping tabs on me. He was spying on me. I mean, he even had the mail photographed, so he knew every single thing that was coming to that house. Once I escaped, that was not cool. And then when I went ahead and filed for divorce, like, no, that wasn't happening. Now suddenly, guess what, you guys? I'm brainwashing my children. For some odd reason, they don't want to have anything to do with their father.
So here's the bottom line. So we got a letter from a lawyer a week or 2 ago. They want to have access, or Mike wants to have access to the minor, their children, and that Sharon brainwashed the kids for the last 2 years, and that's why he hasn't contacted them. So Sharon got an email a couple of days ago. His main concern was how we doing taxes, because last year he filed head of household, although he'd been gone for 2 years, and got a nice check back. Well, this year Sharon wisened up and said enough's enough. He'd been gone for 2 years. She was able to claim her son. So the email had to do with that, and then of course it was, I still love you, and, maybe I should have reached out, but, and we all know that anything after the word but is bullshit. Basically, that what he wants, he doesn't even know what he wants. He wants Sharon to fix the relationship between him and his kids. Now, if you asked him what he wanted, he wouldn't be able to tell you really. But if Sharon would say, hey, listen, do you want me to talk to the kids, and pretty much force them to talk to you? Like in a sweet, gentle way, that's exactly what he wants. He wants Sharon to fix the shit that he damaged. Now, I know that firsthand because when I was with my ex for 20 years, every time she went out on a spree or did whatever, she would come back. My friends would say, are you nuts? Why are you taking her back? They didn't know about codependency or anything like that. I would have to iron it out between my family and friends and say, yeah, but I wasn't the greatest of husband and this and that and blah, blah, blah. So Sharon wanted to write an email, I'll let you explain it, honey, like reaching out to him in response to that, thinking that maybe there was a chance, since he quote unquote cares about his son, to avoid a long drawn out process. Go ahead.
Well, the thing is, I know he doesn't care about a son or me or a daughter. I know this, but I believe he thinks he does.
Now, we agree with that. In this dude's mind, he loves his ex and he loves his kid in his mind.
Yeah.
Now, feelings aren't facts. Now, in reality, like his actions have shown anything but selfishness and self-centeredness to an extreme level, more so than drug addiction or alcoholism, to the point of a personality disorder.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I have a situation coming up with the court next week, and it's a mediation. I'm not 100% sure what it is, but essentially, my ex, after 2 years of not having anything to do with our children and my child and my kids, my minor child, it's his choice. I support his choice. I really do. My ex, of course, is saying that I'm brainwashing our child, and he wants to put him through all types of stuff, all the way up to bringing him back to New Hampshire. So I'm sitting here, Joe was out, and I'm sitting here this morning thinking about how horrible that's going to be for our son, like how terrible it's going to be. He's going to be traumatized, he's not going to want to do it. And I'm like, well, what can I do? And then I'm thinking, well, maybe, and this is where I made the key error and what the video really is about. I forgot who I'm dealing with.
What you're dealing
Yeah,
with.
what? Thank you. Yes, exactly. What I'm dealing with. And I'm thinking, all right, this is the father. He must have compassion for his child. So I can just tell him reasonably, look, we don't need to go through all this. I'm not keeping our child from you. Like, we can just deal with this ourselves. We don't have to put our child through this. I'm thinking, because if it was any rational, loving parent, there's no way they wouldn't want to do this. But I forgot what I was dealing with. So I wrote this email when Joe was out, and I was like, so Joe comes home, and I told him how I had written the email. And of course, immediately Joe was like, oh, you got to be kidding me. So you can take it from there, honey.
I was happy that you told me about it. You didn't send it.
No.
And that's what we wanted to get out there is like our community, and like it's really good because we understand each other. We could always ask. We don't have to act first. We could always run it by somebody first. Well, at first you put me in a bad spot because I didn't want to be the one where if you didn't send it, if shit goes sideways, I didn't want you to blame me for it. My stance on no contact. You know that like it's just not good. Nothing good ever comes of it. Leave it between the lawyers. The lawyer sent you the letter 2 weeks ago saying how you brainwashed the kids. Now all of a sudden he's reaching out. He wants that interaction. He needs it to live. The narcissist needs supply like we need air. So I told her I don't know God and I don't know how he works. I know a lot of times for me, he's able to make lemonade out of lemons, my lemons out of choices, but God, it turns out okay in the end. So I wasn't sure what to say, but I did tell her passionately because I care that it wasn't a good idea. We agreed on this. Mike, in his mind, thinks that he loves Sharon still and the kids. Now, what Sharon didn't see at that time was Mike, even though he didn't say it, Mike is blaming Sharon mostly for this. And if Sharon will fix this and coerce his son and her daughter, who's now an adult, to mend this relationship that he burnt, this bridge, then they would be okay. It would be all right. And I needed to remind Sharon of that because sometimes we're quick forgetters.
Exactly. And especially when you're vulnerable, when it's like your child or finances or something like that.
This is what he would have seen. And you guys tell me if I'm wrong on that. What he would have seen was the fear and concern. He's dipping into your fear. He knows that he loves your son. And he knows that if he would have to be forced to go to New Hampshire and all this other crap, it would get to you. And he would be able to punish you for the things that happened to him when he was a little kid, which was nothing. He's a spoiled brat. He was given everything under the sun except I love you 10 times a day. That was his trauma. So he would have showed your hands. Like he would have known, okay, she really cares about him. And in the meantime, in his head, he loves his son, but if her son has to be ripped out of a household, away from his sister and mother, and brought up to another state and go through all these trials, it was okay because it was Sharon's fault. Because Sharon didn't fix what happened.
When Joe explained it to me that way, when he was saying that, it clicked in my head because that's always how it is. It is my fault. It's your fault. It's Joe's fault. You're individual narcissist. It's always your fault. When I was in New Hampshire, my ex was trying to starve the kids and I financially. And his solution to that was, all right, I'll move back into the house. Yeah.
It's not my fault. If you just let me
Yeah.
move back in, we would be just fine again. And it's nonsense. So thank God Sharon didn't shoot first and aim later. Like she ran it by me. And to be honest with you guys, like the last 2 years, especially this last year, since Sharon and I got together and built our friendship, for whatever reason, like we know narcissism inside out. We know ourselves, our codependency issues, and what we had to work through. When it comes to my ex, I can't see as clearly as Sharon or you guys can see the situation. Like I always like she used to send me threatening texts, and I would send it right to Sharon and say, I don't even want to read it. Just explain it to me. Like they talk a different language, tell me what's going on, and you would help me see that, and I wouldn't react at all. I responded instead of reacted, and I didn't respond to her. I responded rationally by going to somebody that understands this.
The point of today's video really is a reminder. When this happened today, Joe and I were thinking about doing something else for a video. And then when this happened today, we thought, you know what, this is important because people like us who are going through this, we're vulnerable, and especially when you're afraid or you're hurting or something's going wrong and you want the situation to be over and you think, I'll just appeal rationally to this person, but it isn't a person. So this video is really a reminder, no matter who you are, no matter how much you've learned about narcissism, when it involves you really need to take a step back and be super cautious every single step you go forward. Joe and I do that for each other, but we want to do that on the channel too. We want this to be a community where we can help each other because it's so important.
I joke around with Sharon, and I had to take some responsibility of the situation I was in, and my best thinking got me entangled with a narcissist, and I didn't leave after 2 months or 3 months. It was 20 years later, So of myself, really, I'm left to my own devices. I can't get through this. I need God first and other people, like our community. I think that my whole 20 years of being with this narcissist, I have opened up like a normal person would about your fears and they've used it to blackmail and like dig deeper, and they put it in that database later to be used as ammunition. And the position you're in right now, neither one of us have to show them our hands. That keeps them baffled. Like if you would have been, but like if it gets to the point now, guys, I told Sharon this, like as far as her mentality, let me know if this is, not that I want her to do this, but if she said, I don't give a fuck, excuse my French, I don't care. You want to take her back to New Hampshire? Take her back to New Hampshire. What do you think you would respond to when then you would say, okay, Judge, my ex works 45 hours a week, and this is a 16-year-old minor. Where's he going to go to school? Who's going to watch him? He wouldn't know what the hell to say. Even a judge would say, okay, sir, well, what's your game plan?
Well, that is true. Joe and I were talking about this. Yeah, you turn the tables. They expect something from you. They know your reaction. They know what it's going to be.
They knew your reaction, but as empaths, if you work on your recovery, they don't know you.
Yeah. Yes.
And we have their playbook. So, but we sometimes need each other and our help to kind of get through it. Not that I would ever want to see that happen. He wouldn't know what to say or do because you didn't react the way he expected. Yeah. And it puts like a chink in this sick, twisted mind that they have where they don't know what else. They don't know what, he doesn't want to be a father, but yet he's fighting. It's about control. It's about winning.
Yeah.
So what I told her too is if you agreed to all of this and forced your son, which you shouldn't and which you won't, to speak to him, maybe the divorce would go by smoother. That's not the case because the second element of this is the finances. Once you give in and you appease and you try to compromise with these sick freaks, the next thing he's going to fight you on just what is fair by law. But mommy and daddy are his God, and he has the money to prolong that even more. So he's going to get what he wants. Then he's going to get more than what he wants and leave you in a gutter.
Yeah, that's the thing. We do have an advantage we have many advantages over the narcissist being human, is the big one. But when we're with the narcissist, before we know that they're a narcissist, we are at such a disadvantage because we think we're with another person, and that could not be further from the truth.
Well, not only that, but we're codependent and we think that we need them.
Yeah.
It's the exact opposite.
Yes.
I mean, now, like where I'm at is one of the biggest fears of a narcissist is abandonment. Like, he doesn't care as long as he has some tie to you always in his life. You know that. Use it. Keep your fucking mouth shut. Let your lawyer talk. We talk with each other. We talk with our community. Then we do what's right based on prayer.
Yeah, exactly. I can say really in the last year, I haven't made one decision since I've been with Joe, really. I haven't made one decision that has not been done in prayer. And I need to be, it's crucial to me. I need to be a good mother. I need to be the best person that I can be. And I'm trying to take care of my son, my daughter, I'm trying to take care of every area of my life. But my ex this is what all of us need to know. They are never going to be on your side. They never will, they'll never look at it. Like Joe and I have animals together. We care about these animals. I can count on Joe. Even if he was mad at me, I could count on him. It's never that way with the narcissist. But once we know who they are, they don't know us. Like my ex, he has no idea what I'm going to do. None. He thinks he knows me from the way that I would act before, but he has no idea. So he's at a huge disadvantage.
Yeah, because of that controlling factor, that prediction of how that's, when they do this for years and years and years, they go from people to people or places to places. They know how people are going to, what's going to happen. When you get into that sick, addiction where you're always going to go back and you go, they know this. They've done it for years. They've done it their whole lives. When you throw a kink in that, you leave them baffled. And that's where he needs to say. He needs to stay not knowing anything. And that in itself will drive him crazy. And that's not the goal. You need to get the hell out of this. But sometimes we are our own worst enemy.
And the thing is, too, when you're divorcing a narcissist, it sucks. But the reality is that it's not possible to divorce a narcissist and not get dirty. They are nasty, evil things. You're dealing with spiritual warfare. You're not going to get out, with kid gloves.
Yeah, you're going to have some scars on you. You don't necessarily have to roll in the mud with the pig. It's just, you use your lawyer, you use the community, people that truly understand. In my mind, I didn't have any expectations. I expected the worst and hoped for the best. It's going on 2 years now, and I don't want to scare anybody or anything like that, but when I was able to put my mind into, I don't give enough, I don't give a, that was such an advantage to me when I truly forced my heart to believe it. I don't give a shit, man. Take what you want. Take anything. I don't care. That just instinct they have of wanting to hurt and punish you, they lose that. It's kind of like torturing a person. The torturer gets off on it. If that person, after about a week of being tortured and all his nails are pulled and whatever the hell is, after a while he stops screaming. After a while he's just, and the torturer gets bored and wants to find a new victim. That's what narcissists do.
Yeah, they do, 100%. And all of us, that's one of the advantages that we have. We know their playbook. We know what they're going to do. They don't know ours. But today's video really is a reminder. It's a gentle reminder. Be careful. Never forget. Because it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter who you are, how much you know about narcissism. At the end of the day, when you are personally involved, you need guidance from somebody else. I needed Joe. If it wasn't for Joe, I would have thought to myself, this is wonderful, and I would have been, this really might work. I send the email and I'm waiting for his reply. Well, what I would have done was he would have opened up this email and it would have been the greatest moment of the day.
Yeah, it would have gave him the supply that he was looking for. And they dig and they do it nonchalantly. And it's humbling for you. You have a channel, Sharon, and here you are letting people know, even you as a host, even I myself, you're saying, need help. I still need this, our community, and we need people. We're not bulletproof.
No, we definitely need each other 100%. And, Joe and I, we do our best to answer comments. I try to answer comments, sometimes to get behind, but we really are here. We're available. And I really want this to be a community where we can help each other, because all of us are going through a nightmare that, how do you even explain it to somebody who doesn't know?
Yeah, what I used to do, you guys, is I used to go around to people and I would get suggestions. But I went to people that had no idea about narcissism, no idea about codependency, and I would keep asking those questions until I found the answer that I wanted, which usually had to do with breaking contact and going back and trying to, but that's why, like, if I was with somebody, even a healthy person, I don't think I could relate the
Hmm.
way I do with you. We both did the work to overcome our codependency and our issues, but I couldn't sit down with somebody and say, "Yeah, my ex cheated on me 4 times and stole and robbed from me, but I was married to her 20 years." There, I'd be throwing red flags. Like, get the hell away from this person. That's what we find it comical sometimes. Like, how could you do that?
Yeah, Joe and I have laughed about that many times. Like, it's a good thing we're together because then we're not going to find anybody else.
No, how do you relate to somebody that had the silent treatment for 7 months? You'd be like, well, first off, what the hell is a silent treatment? And it's word
Yeah.
salad, and all the just the sad psychological addiction and traumas that we have, and then evil. We think they're evil or they're demonically influenced. This and that. Even people that have gone through it don't agree with that. You know what I mean?
That's the thing. And Joe and I, we try to find humor in things, even though not all of this is funny. But it's a reminder. You have to be so careful. Never let your guard down on a narcissist. Never think, well, I'll just appeal to their humanity. I'll appeal to the father in them, the husband in them, the wife in them. It doesn't matter. You're dealing with a thing. They're not human. They've lost their humanity. They never had it. I don't know. But the reality is, at the end of the day, you need to protect yourself. And if you are going to contact the narcissist for any reason, which probably is a terrible idea, run it by somebody.
Yeah, there's going to be points where you have to legally, you have to do that, and we do try to find humor. I guess like back in the day, Shakespearean comedy had a lot to do with tragedy, but we tell ourselves too. Speaking of Shakespeare, like this too shall pass. There's going to be an end, and Sharon has been so good and a powerful example of how we could continue to live our lives and build off of what we have, even though like legally is still not financially over, like by law, like we're still able to make the most of this and, laugh about things. But like Sharon said, it's just important to never forget like that we cried.
It's important, I think, overall, never forget ever. But at the same time, don't let them hold you back in your life. When you're not with the narcissist, live your life. Joe and I live our life. We want to have a life. We don't want to be, all right, well, we'll live our life after everything's done. No, they've taken enough. We're not going to let them take any more. But never forget who you're dealing with.
What you're dealing with.
Oh, yeah, you're right. What you're dealing with. Well, on that note, I want to say thank you guys so much for listening. Joe, it's always awesome to have you here.
Yeah, thanks. So you know how much I love the channel. I love you too.
Aw, well, that was so sweet. So I will see you guys on Wednesday. And until then, I hope you have, well, I guess not just until then, but I hope you have a wonderful week. And I will see you on Wednesday. God bless.
Bye, guys.